I just learned some jazz today, is true.
Hi, I'm Jenn Fillenworth from Jenny with the Good Eats. Today I'm going to be chatting with Liz and Vince about Jenny with the Good Eats, Food Network, what we think about Grand Rapids restaurants, and Root Farmacy.
One take, Jenny.
Hey, this is Kirk, producer of the Passion to Profit podcast. I did not want to have to do this, people, but every week, Liz and Vince come on here and ask you to subscribe. They ask you to write Apple reviews, and people, some of you are doing it, a lot of you aren't. For Pete's sake, can you get on there and do it? That way we don't have to hear them talk about it all the time. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Couldn't beat the rest of we check one way. Touch the brakes and go slow. Oh no, dust them out with the one quick solo.
All right, guys. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
We have a really special guest. First of all, it's been a minute since we've had guests on the show. Secondly, we've never had a guest in this fancy location where we record now. Shout out to Kirk and his studio. But today, we are welcoming my good friend, local. I feel like you're all the things. She's a nutritionist. She's a chef. She's a restaurateur. She's a Food Network show winner. All the above, fill in the blank. Really cool woman. Jenny, introduce yourself.
Oh, thanks, Liz.
I call you Jenny because of Instagram.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know.
Everyone knows me as Jenny with the Good Eats.
Exactly.
So,
That's
Jenn
such a
Fillenworth.
clutch Instagram.
Clutch Instagram name.
Yeah, just that Becky with the good hair, good eats vibe.
I love it.
Crossed it together.
Like
came up with
So
a
smart.
winner.
Jenny with the Good Eats.
So for people that aren't familiar, give us your intro. Tell us about you.
Oh man, I feel like it's such a long intro because I've had such a crazy journey over like the past 5 years. So I started off as a clinical dietitian. I had been in the food service industry since I was 14 years old, washing dishes, working online, that kind of thing. And then everyone was like, oh, you got to go to college, you got to get the degrees, do this and that to make money. So did it. Worked in the big hospital world, hated it. And then through that, I was kind of like, I miss the food service industry. I want to know more. So I actually went to culinary school in my late 20s and got that degree. And then I was like, yep, this is where it is. Started my own personal chef business, so Jenny with the Good Eats, and started really cooking for people that had certain medical conditions that needed, something outside of the average, like takeout,
Yeah.
that type of thing. And from there, it just kind of exploded into a lot of other things. It exploded into this internet brand and partnerships with major food corporations, and the rest is history.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, so it's
The
been
internet,
crazy.
you guys, it's pretty powerful.
It is. It really is.
Internet's
Yeah.
here.
The
Use
internet is here.
Make money on the internet.
It's all on the internet these days. Everything.
Oh yeah, the internet has came and destroyed everything. In a good way though.
Yeah, in a good way, for sure.
Not a bad way. In a great
Especially
way.
now, pandemic-wise, you'd the internet is so clutch.
Oh, yeah. It's clutch. It's nice.
Yeah, people were able to pivot their businesses overnight because of the internet.
Oh, for
Right.
sure.
So why don't we talk about that? Why don't you tell us where you are now, throughout the week, where do you spend your time and how do you divide? We talk a lot about
Yes.
passions and turning your passions into profit. So obviously you are multifaceted. You do have different assets or skill sets. You're so knowledgeable. You're not just a trained chef. You're a dietitian. It's like she's not just an actor. She plays one in real life. You really did the thing. So how do you, you've also been a professor.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
how
yeah.
do you juggle how you spend your week and your month? How do you juggle your time right now?
Yeah, it's super tough and it changes all the time. So right now I spend a lot of time over at Root Farmacy. So that's kind of our baby food as medicine concept. So back in actually March 2020, right before this pandemic hits, we're like, all right, we're going to launch this food as medicine meal prep service. And we're going to do it out of the downtown market here in Grand Rapids, start up, incubator kitchen, see how it goes, see if we can really get a following. So we do our health inspection. It's the first person I had seen in months because of quarantine.
Right.
We forget how to talk to each other.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
oh, it's weird. People I'm so used to being by myself. So we start doing this concept and it grows a little every single week. We get more people subscribing. We get more farms that want to work with us, and like all the pieces just start like coming together. So then fast forward to October this past fall, we actually get a spot in Grand Rapids. So the former Marie Catribes, very historic location in Grand Rapids. And we're like, cool, this is the perfect spot to grow into it. Do more grand scale meal prep for people. And now like, I think we're doing like 600, 700 meals every single week.
That's
like
incredible.
It's insane. It's so cool to see like people invest in the vision, and we're like, we can make good food with like, that's gluten-free, dairy-free, all these things. And it doesn't have to taste like crap, right?
Exactly.
Like, season your food, be smart about it. People will catch on. They'll see that it's a good product. And
I love
so
that.
I'm spending a lot of time there nowadays and
Yeah, that makes
fixing
sense.
broken walk-in coolers this morning.
guys
Vince
know.
is like, oh, the pain.
Welcome to Monday, or whatever the fuck day it is.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah, I remember my Steam table broke at least 5 times.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like you buy it for $5,000 and you put $5,000 into it.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah.
then you're like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're like, why am I doing
Like, why?
this?
Like, and they say you should have bought the $10,000 one. Like, I see. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
And
you guys
no-
probably make these bad on purpose. I
Yeah,
don't really
for
understand
sure.
what's going
They're
on.
like, you're going to put money into it. And no
Yeah.
matter like how passionate you are for the restaurant industry, like crazy shit like this happens all the time. And it really tests like, you're like, how
yeah.
much do I love it? Am I willing to cry in this walk-in that's now 80 degrees and all this food that I have to throw away? And
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart.
it is not.
Oh, yeah, no. There's a story of one of my friends was telling me that his boy worked at Alinea, and then he like left, and then he was like trying to say bye to the team. The team's like, we don't talk to quitters.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
for sure.
The food business is not for the faint of heart.
No, it is
No.
not.
It's
You gotta,
not
be, you gotta be kind of rough around the edges, a little tough.
Oh, yeah. You have all the personalities, all the things.
all the things.
Yeah, and you're on your feet constantly.
All day.
You're not sitting down. You don't get breaks. Half the time, like, you leave and you're there for 12 hours. And you're like, oh, I should probably eat or
Right.
drink water.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And over at Root, too, we're trying to, like, catch that because we are a wellness brand. So I'm like, hey, I haven't seen you take a break in a minute. Go grab some food.
Right.
So it's kind of breaking those norms, too, where
I
I'm
love
like,
that.
I want to be this sensitive person to help you, like, encourage your well-being.
Right.
But we have to break so many things in the process. And
Right.
it's crazy, too, because our team is 100% female.
Which is so cool.
And it's so crazy to me because
Especially in the
it's always
restaurant
been so
business?
reversed. Yeah.
Always.
And for some reason, when we put up that job posting, all of our applicants were female.
Wow.
I was like,
Fine.
that's so crazy.
so you really created that culture.
Yeah, for sure.
And what is it like working with all women?
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the most fun ever because everybody is just such in a good mood and they're very caring. And I would say outside of just the normal meal prep thing, they're like, what other ideas can we work on?
I love
How can
that.
we do this? And it's just like everybody is constantly brainstorming and wanting to do something. And
Yeah.
now that we're starting to open up bars and restaurants, everyone's like, oh, when are we going to happy hour? And
Right.
yeah, it's
Culture's
just,
being built.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's such a good atmosphere.
I love that.
So, root functional.
Yes.
So, how do you even get into that? Like, we kind of glazed over, but I want to know, like,
yeah.
you know, like why, like, where are you guys going now? Like, how'd you get into it? 'Cause I know
Yeah,
you
for
mentioned
sure.
like you're gonna switch your business model up a little bit.
Yeah, so I came on with Root Functional Medicine as a personal chef a couple years back. So I actually met Erica Armstrong, who founded Root Functional Medicine at, she was at Strive at the time. So that's with kind of Spectrum Health. It was more of their lifestyle medicine concept. And we were doing a cooking class together. And she was like, hey, you know, down the road, I would love to start my own thing and we should totally link up and talk about what that would look like. And, you know, fast forward 2018, that happens. And I was like, you know, I'm a personal chef and I'm cooking all those specialty diets that you're looking for. So let's collab on that. So I kind of came on as a collaboration. And it was actually, I got into a really bad car accident in November of 2019. So I had a ton of downtime where I couldn't be in the kitchen or anything like that. And I started to kind of like brainstorm how we could more do meal prep on like a grand scale and do it more for the community and general public. So we really started to have those conversations, and it was January 2020. I did a catering over at Root Functional Medicine
Okay.
where we like matched the food with like the theme of like the kind of diets we were talking about. And I was like, hey, Erica, what if we do this thing and we call it like Root Farmacy? We start meal prep, we do all this. And she was like, All right,
Let's
let's
go.
go. Let's do
I
it.
love that.
So do you think meal prep is like, I mean, is it working? And like, why do you think it works?
Yeah, I think it's
As a business
definitely
model.
I think it's definitely working for sure. It's a lot of our clients, we were targeting women for sure. And we get a lot of single men. They're just like, I don't have time to cook. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go to the grocery store. And I think the pandemic almost played in our favor too. People are like, I really don't want to go out and shopping and I just want to have stuff at home to quick heat up and eat. So I think like it's worked so well, and people that have been like, yeah, you know, I've been trying to lose weight for forever, but I haven't been able to do it. And it's like, we're creating these nutritionally balanced meals. Like we're not cutting out all your macros and doing all these crazy things. It's like, it's balanced. It's nutrient dense.
It's real food.
Yeah, it's real food. You're not doing all these crazy things to just try to lose weight. So we've seen people say they've had like weight loss, they have better overall energy. A lot of our meals we target for women with polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it's kind of hormone balance, and it's really helped them. And we've even had a couple women that are like, I got pregnant and I couldn't get pregnant after all these years of trying.
That's
just
cool.
from like better nutrition. So
And I feel like a pandemic especially, there's only so much, you know, comfort food and cocktails
yeah,
you can eat on a daily basis
Yes.
that you really do start to eventually crave.
Oh, for
healthy
sure.
food.
Yeah, you're
There's
like, I
only
need
so long we
something
can do that.
green.
Yeah.
I think I lived off like alcohol for the first couple
Oh,
months.
yeah.
I was
I
like
mean, we all
so
did.
stressed.
And so much of like the
Yeah.
fast casual or takeout food is heavier,
It is.
especially here in the Midwest. So it's so
For
cool
sure.
to have options that, you know, you can feel good about.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because we did a couple things with our winter rotation where we tried to focus more on like Midwest classics. So we did like the Galumki Bowl, so stuffed cabbage
Oh.
rolls and things like that. Where we
Yeah.
were like, all right, we know people around here love it, so how do we lighten it up a little bit? How
Yeah.
do we give them kind of more substance behind it? So it's been fun
That's
to kind of
smart.
take some of those like Midwest things.
And show people.
Yeah, like we've done chicken marsala that's gluten
We've
free,
had your
dairy free,
meatloaf.
and
That was
oh
great.
yeah, the turkey
Yeah.
meatloaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just things like
that.
that where you're like, we know the demographic we're in, so how do we kind of capture what they're used to and give them something a little healthier? And
Love that.
yeah,
Spin it a little bit.
for sure.
What has been the biggest driver for us? Was it your location, Instagram? Like, how do you guys grow your business?
Ooh, I would say a lot of people just saw us on social media. So through that, word of mouth got out really quick because there weren't a lot of people doing really anything like it. There's a couple bigger brands that do it, like Daily Harvest is one,
Right.
Factor Meals. So there's a couple places like that. And we tried literally every single meal prep company we could. And we're like, how does it taste? What is
Yeah.
packaging like? So we went through extensive research on like, how can we make like the best product possible?
What were some of the things that you found that the bigger players weren't doing well that you've really done well?
I would say just when you get something shipped from somebody, it's like not fresh. It's not. And I think part of the reason why we're able to do things that are super fresh is because we are using a lot of local Michigan farms. So like
Yeah.
Revolution Farms, you're super familiar
Right.
with, like their product is incredible. Like that lettuce,
Yeah,
it sits there
exactly.
for weeks and it looks gorgeous because they literally harvest it and give it to you.
Exactly.
So it's not coming on a truck from somewhere. And so we're just super careful
So
about the
smart.
ingredients that we're using. Yeah.
So how do you maintain that quality and freshness as you expand beyond West Michigan? And is that
Yeah.
on your radar?
That's definitely on our radar right now, and that's kind of our biggest challenge right now is some of the suppliers we're using, we're getting to a point where it's like we might outgrow them.
Right.
So how do we continue what we're doing now but expand it more nationally? And we've talked too about popping up ghost kitchens in other cities
Yeah.
and using their local vendors and trying to mimic like the same model in other cities. Because
Smart.
yeah, we can ship only so far right now before, you know, it's super fresh food. We're not using
Right.
preservatives, things like that. So your quality is going to deteriorate.
Right.
So.
Or it'll just be too expensive to try it.
Exactly. Or it's so expensive. Right.
Yeah.
Shipping's expensive for
Yeah,
sure.
scale and distribution is going to be like the biggest.
Oh yeah. It's
figure
it's
out.
Whoever
always
can
on
solve
our head.
that right
I
now,
know,
there's
right?
an opportunity.
Let us know. We'll hire you.
So after the pandemic, you're doing this meal prep. You know, what's
Yeah.
the state of the restaurant business in your mind, and where do you think people are going wrong, or where do you think people are going right?
Yeah, I think, restaurants. I feel so bad for restaurants. And the biggest thing with us, when obviously we're in the meal prep business too, but we opened up a cafe front, some days are incredible, right? You have all the people walking by, out walking dogs. They're like, awesome, what's this place? Let's check it out. And the next, it's like dead.
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, here's all this food waste and all this labor we just spent prepping more food because we sold out the previous day. And it's tough. And I think restaurants right now, it's going to be a battle for a long time. I think you're still going to have mistrust just because of what's been created with the
Yeah.
pandemic. It's like restaurants have really suffered and they've been closed so many times, and
Yeah.
I think that damages reputation after time. And Vince, I think pre-orders, takeout, to go, that is going to be here to stay for a long time.
I
For
think so,
sure.
too.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So I feel really bad for those people that are like in the fine dining industry that are looking for, those super fancy $200 meals. And I think that's going to suffer. And we've seen so many great
It's
restaurants
interesting,
close.
though. There's a lot that are doing really well right now. For example, Bodie's Chop House.
Yeah.
It's busy on weeknights and weekends, and their capacities. I mean, I don't know if it's 25%. It looks pretty much the same to me, but it's a pretty
Yeah.
spread out but small spot. It was interesting because I feel like I'm curious, what's the difference maker? Why?
Right.
Why? And I
Money,
always go
the
back.
wealth.
Well, I also go
Right.
back to branding, quality.
Mhm.
It's very interesting because I always just find it so interesting why some restaurants can continue to crush through a pandemic,
For sure.
and why, everyone there, when I was there recently, felt comfortable. I mean, I think every table was full. It's so interesting to me how I wonder. I think at this point too, like if your quality isn't on par, you just like the fat's gonna rise to the top. Like the
Right.
good quality is gonna rise to the top, and
Yeah.
then anything else is gonna fall flat.
And I think we're going to have a little bit of like a boom too, since they just reopened, where people are going to be super excited and ready to
Yeah.
go out and do stuff. And then I think we're going to have that lull again.
I
And like,
wonder.
who knows what's going to happen? I just think it's
Yeah.
going to be such a long road.
I think so too. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think this is just the second act.
for sure.
We got
Yeah.
third and fourth.
And I think that's why throughout this entire thing, we've seen so many different like pop-ups
Yeah.
happen and things like that. Like
Which I
people
think
are
is such a
getting
fun
very
part.
creative. Yeah,
Don't you love that though?
I do.
That's
It's
like
super
I call
fun.
it a pandemic perk.
Yeah.
Those would not be happening.
No, not
You
at
know,
all. That's
like-
what's so cool.
You guys, if you're listening, we're gonna be doing one in April. Woo, woo. We're so
Yeah.
excited. So more to come on that. But we did one in August. So we did one during the pandemic, and to your point, I think that's just gonna become more normal, which is great because we're almost training people to order online,
Yes.
pre-order. Whereas I know before the pandemic, I really wasn't doing any of that.
No. And that's the thing too. Like even with our business model, we have people ordering meals online for like pick up the following week. So
Yeah.
it's training your consumer. It's like, hey, got to make some decisions.
Yeah.
Because it really helps us out because then we know
100%.
exactly how much food we're ordering. We're not wasting things. And
I think the low
it's just
capacity
changing the
helps.
model. It's crazy.
And then now that restaurants are 25%, you can't just go out to eat within an hour. You have to plan ahead. You
Oh,
have to
for
book
sure.
a reservation. I think in a way, to your point, we are training
Yeah.
consumers, which will help.
Yeah, I wonder how it affects the West Michigan though.
Go on.
I mean, we live in a bubble.
We do. We're
We live in
very
a diff-
traditional.
Yeah, we live in a different world. So it's either gonna go either or.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't know. I feel like expensive food that's not creative will not work, but the steak and potatoes will work all day long. Like Bodie's will forever.
Right. For
Bodie's
sure.
forever be successful just because it's steak and potatoes. And listen, I love Bodie's.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but they're not doing anything that's like so unique. It's a good steak.
Exactly.
And so, and it's in the right location, they have a good brand, and they're around people that can afford it. I feel bad for the people who are like not in those kind of communities or neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They're trying to do something special.
For sure.
Like, it's probably not gonna translate as well unless you built a brand, and even that, that doesn't guarantee you success.
Yeah.
So
and
it's like,
I use are you familiar with KCM? Right around
Yeah.
the corner from us.
Yeah.
Like I think the food is so brilliant. I think it's great, but people don't know.
Yeah. How are they doing?
Man, I don't think like we never see any people there.
Yeah.
And it's
so bad.
hard because I love them.
KCM is fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. We like personally we're there like every day.
Yeah.
we're always there for curry.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder. It's gonna be
It's
West,
hard.
West Michigan as a whole, like, and Liz is like when I say this, they just they don't care.
Yeah, I know.
It's just the truth. The market
It's so
doesn't care.
true. Yeah.
Like it's I did a start gut in the juice, whatever they do those things.
Yeah,
And James was telling me, he's like 20 years ago it was the food desert. And like it's been 25 years.
Yeah.
And we got what? We got a couple.
I know.
So like and it's like
it's so true though.
But you guys have to remember, there's a lot of people moving here from out of town.
There
so, for
are.
example,
That's
every
true.
friend I have is not from here. All of my friends I grew up with don't live here anymore. and younger people are staying here. And I know all of my circles in different circles, but they are all well traveled. They came from big cities. Like one of my closest friends just moved here from Chicago. So I just want to like tell that you shouldn't dumb down people, because like I always feel like raise up the community, raise it up, like raise the bar. Now I understand I don't own a restaurant and I'm not being aloof to the obvious, but I will say this: no one that
I'm raising it fucking
well,
high.
all I'm saying is that
I
it
do
is
every day.
interesting to me that all of my friends now, and for the last few years, are not from here.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
None of them are from here, and they all are from big cities. And that's only going to get worse, or not worse, better for us, because of the fact that everyone's fleeing the big cities to come to Midwest. That's why, obviously, right now, everyone where I live, we're getting offers to buy our house because there's not enough homes. The demand is too high. So I do see that getting better, because there are a lot more people here that are accustomed to food from big cities, and they want that variety.
And I think that's why I know Grand Rapids has gotten some like up and coming like food awards.
Oh yeah,
for food scene, and like I just think we're a little bit out.
I know.
But yeah, hopefully people keep coming.
Us just
and
being food snobs, we just
yeah,
know.
I understand. And
true.
I realized
That's
that I
true.
grew up very differently because we didn't eat chains or anything like that. Even in like the 80s, we were eating at dive Vietnamese
for
restaurants.
sure.
But
I mean, this is like, let's not say anybody's names so
Yeah.
people know us. But like, the fact of the matter, you go on certain streets, you'll see somebody's doing something special, and they're slow as shit before the
It's
pandemic.
so true.
And somebody that's not doing something, like,
no, I understand.
that's just the truth. Like, we can like, I would love it to be the opposite, but the end of the day, like, this is what it actually is.
Isn't it interesting? Though?
It's super
Like,
interesting.
I find
Yeah.
the whole thing just so from like a
And
marketing.
I'm part of the problem.
Why are you part of the problem?
Like, I will make that decision too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you are.
Vince is going to those
for
busy
example, I
places.
made the reservation this month at the place you're referring to.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
I'm not going to eat like the good steak across the street.
Yeah.
I
So,
want to
Why?
support
Yeah.
people cooking.
so it's funny.
It's
It's just
interesting.
interesting. Like,
Yeah,
and
it
I
is,
personally
for sure.
believe that like, what it comes to is that like a lot of people, and this could be a blanket statement, is they don't do special food amazing, so people rather have shitty food
Yeah,
or basic food
comfortable.
because they're gonna crush that. Like, not a lot of people are crushing like Italian food at such a high level in Grand Rapids,
Right.
Right,
where
for
like
sure.
you have to go, and that's why it's worth $200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is blue collar people.
Yeah.
Like, if I think about people that actually go out and spend all their money eating out, it's not people who make a lot of money.
Right.
Like,
Right.
people like
Yeah,
that have
that's true.
time when they do that. Everyday people are just blowing their money at eating at restaurants.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Grand
by the way.
Rapids, if you're listening, sorry that we're being offensive to you. Grand Rapids, I love you. Don't worry.
No, I love this city.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think we're being super offensive.
I'm
Yeah.
just,
We're
I'm
just being
totally
real.
kidding.
This is
Being
real talk.
This is real talk.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, I would like if I were to do it again, because people ask me, like, I would open up a fried chicken spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just
It'd be
makes
super
me so
popular.
sad
It'd be
'cause I don't
popular.
want to eat fried chicken, but I get
No,
it.
but like, because you haven't had a. But
I
imagine
totally
me
get
making
it.
fire, actually just caring about making good fried chicken. That subtle difference, it'll be huge.
For sure.
Versus in
I
this
totally
like run of the
agree.
mill. Sorry, Cisco. Sorry, Gordon. You know, this like
Yeah.
frozen.
Yeah.
We
oh,
got.
I'm not saying your
Dropped
fried
in the
chicken would be
fries.
tasty.
No, I'm saying like think about someone just like caring a little bit.
Oh,
about
yeah.
it. Caring about a biscuit. Caring, like, again, simple food.
Yeah.
Like you made meatloaf.
Right.
But just like
it's attention
taking
to
it,
detail.
you know, just
For
like
sure.
making it a little bit better. I think that's the huge
I
opportunity.
also
in Grand
think people
Rapids.
just
Yeah.
need to recognize where the good food is located in Grand Rapids, and it's not on Cherry and Wealthy, and like the really
Yeah.
like you got to go. You need to like go.
Shout out to Pupuseria El Salvador.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I love them.
There's so much really
so
like
good.
you can't
Like-
say no one here is paying attention to quality. Like you think if
Yeah.
you go to the west side, like Kentwood area, that's where like there's so much craft from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like India Town, making curries from
Yeah.
toasting the spices.
And
There
I think,
is that.
yeah, I
But
think
you
a
have
lot
to,
of
you
it.
have to get off the main drag.
Yeah, and a lot of it too. You know, those you have a lot of flashy restaurants on Wealthy and Cherry, very beautiful places,
Very
like
cute.
great atmosphere.
Very
I want to
Instagram
take,
worthy.
yeah, I want to take all the Instagram
They
photos.
have a
but
they
I'm
have
like,
a liquor license.
yeah,
And we all go
but
multiple
like
times.
I know, and we all go.
Saying we're all part of
we're
the
there.
problem.
We're there every
I
day.
don't
Just
go there
saying.
much, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm more on the other side of town.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Let's look at your last year Instagram.
Go ahead.
where you were at.
I just prefer ethnic food.
Yeah,
I always have.
I always encourage people to get out and try different things other than like that core group of restaurants because there's so much good stuff
Do you
out
think
there.
people are intimidated to walk in
100%.
to
Yes.
an India Town or to a Golden
Even a Root
28?
Pharmacy, they might be like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
Yeah.
they'd be like, what are you doing?
A
It's
concept.
different. It's
Thank
so
God though
different.
you're in
like,
a familiar location.
yeah,
That has to help.
Yeah, it is different though because we have to explain a lot. It's like, oh, I can order meals online, and we're like, yeah, it's awesome. You get price breaks if you do that and all this. And
Oh,
we
you
cook
do
it
get
right.
price
You
breaks?
do if you
Cool.
order like in a bundle.
Oh, cool.
So it's just like trying to that whole education process.
Yeah.
It's different, and people don't really like different. They like comfortable.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I do think though, with this pandemic, people are open. Like again, like people are ordering online that never used to order online. Even as
Yeah.
people think
It's
of
like
all the
forced change.
Oh yeah, people 55
Yeah.
and up that are ordering groceries online. Like e-commerce grew more in the last year than the 15 years prior.
Yeah,
That's what
I would love to be in tech right now.
Well, that's where I think,
Like,
you know, we talked about how shitty Grand Rapids is. If you are in Grand Rapids, the opportunity is, because it's so cheap here, to crush e-commerce. Especially
Oh,
if
for
you're like in
sure.
the food business. I think that is the game.
Yeah.
Like that's the beautiful thing about GR. Because
Right.
like no one's gonna give a fuck. No one cares. Right? But you can like build a brand from here online and ship around the
Oh,
world.
for sure.
And you guys
Yeah.
want to take that next step in Root. So
yeah,
like
for sure. That's what we're
like,
looking at doing.
that
Yeah,
is
talk
the,
about that.
That is the game, you know.
Yeah. So big discussion about what's going on outside of Grand Rapids and our medical practices alone. Like we can see patients virtually all
Which
over
is
the
so
country.
Cool. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, can you ship us like your private labeled like supplements? What about your meal plans and things like that? So it's like, all right, here's the
Let's
game.
do it.
This is what we need to do. Because I think we've had a great response in Grand Rapids, but there's so much more out there and there's so many
yeah.
other people to reach. And we're like, we have to do it.
Why not?
Got to take the opportunity to do it. So
Yeah, I think that's such a cool thing. I think that's so right.
yeah, it's hard to try to continue to grow it to a point in like this one spot. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah, you mentioned the virtual kitchen mod. I think
Yeah.
licensing out your brand
For sure.
to a lot of different restaurants,
I
also
know.
an opportunity.
Yeah.
It just matters like how hard do you want to push it, and like do you have the capabilities to like manage
For sure.
a virtual franchise, which is like interesting.
I know it's so interesting too to see just where food has gone in general, like
yeah.
over the past like year and a half now. And I think you really just have to start thinking outside of the box.
You do.
And it's so like again, you're listening to this, and you're into food, you want to see what's next. Like it's so cheap here.
It
So,
is.
like-
It really is.
Like, go ahead.
Can you expound on that a little bit? Like, what factors make it cheap? Like, what is cheap? Just
I mean-
as if I'm the layperson listening at home.
Okay, so like, I mean, I've been getting a lot of questions around like virtual kitchens and like ghost kitchens in Grand Rapids. I just think it's not dense enough. So it's like if you want to do that in GR, you're gonna have to like compete with every little restaurant in
For
town,
sure.
and you're gonna have to like outperform them basically
Yep, for sure.
to win because there's not enough people. Like you think about a Friday night, where's everybody at? You know what I'm saying? Like there's not enough. Like not every place is busy.
Yeah, I can name one street that's busy.
Exactly. So and like they have market share,
Mm-hmm.
but like you think about how they got that market share, they got in at way less multiples than if this was Chicago.
For
right?
sure.
Like people are building out $1 million restaurants in Grand Rapids, which I think is stupid, but they are. But like that'll be $4 million in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you build $4 million
And the
Atlanta-
cost of labor and the cost to live.
Right.
yeah,
Like,
food, all that. So like you have more access in bigger cities, but there's also gonna be a lot of money. And so that's like
Yeah.
what happens is like with the bigger probably meal prep companies, like
Mm-hmm.
they don't focus on quality because it's so expensive to like
right.
for CAC or keep customers, get staff,
Mm-hmm.
ship, distribution. They have all the tools to do so, but it's very expensive. But in Grand Rapids, I'll
So
say
if
it's so cheap.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about, you can rent a space not in downtown and pay $800 a month, and you might have 2,500 square feet to start.
Yeah.
so
like,
for example,
You're not
what
gonna
would
get that in New York.
what would it exactly? Let's say you had an organic food. Again, expensive.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
the only organic restaurant in Grand Rapids. So imagine you had that in downtown New York City, Times Square. I mean, what would you have to charge for your food?
Oh, it'd be absurd, but like
But people would buy it
people
too.
will buy it.
Yeah.
Like
For sure.
in New York, like so many people are walking by every minute.
You don't
That-
have to work as hard
Well,
to
they
sell
were.
in cities like that
Yeah,
either.
you don't have to. Like
The
you can-
brand sells itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so you'll be fine, but it's still expensive. But like what happens is like When the pandemic hits, they're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like 2 months we're out of business.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
they're paying 20
Chicago
$20K a
has
month.
way more empty storefronts right now than Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like I was walking
Yeah.
in Chicago, it's insane, and it makes sense because how could they?
Mm-hmm.
They need that traffic.
And I think like that goes with, I always say like the Midwest nice. I think a lot of our landlords here too have been very generous with
Oh,
people
yeah.
paying rent and
Yeah.
have really
I've heard there's a
taken
lot of people
some.
not paying rent.
Yes, so I think that's also happening here. Which
That's-
in big
whereas in
cities,
Chicago,
I'm sure
they're
they're
just
probably like,
like,
no,
they're
you have to
out.
leave. Yeah,
That's so true.
Yeah, big cities, they don't care.
no,
No.
not at all.
They're like,
You're not
So
going to
that's-
not pay the money. So I just feel like, I feel like anything you start here, it's easy, like
Mm.
on the costing.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, you make people care about it. That could also be your edge. Can you get
Yes.
Grand Rapids to care about something you're doing? Like that's going to be the hardest
Yeah,
people to convince.
and like we say it all the time. We're like, if we can be accepted by this community and make it here, we can make it anywhere.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
We talked about that
Yeah.
with the Bundt Cakes, the bakery,
Yep.
because similarly,
Oh, yeah.
when they moved here, they didn't know people, but they spent time getting to know people, and now the community really just like rallies around
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
them.
for
And
sure.
it's Jennifer Memori does a great job of that.
You have to embrace your community for sure.
I don't think you can skip that part.
No, not at all.
No, that's the only thing. People have to know you and like you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
100%.
And at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I also think something that's super important for all businesses, but restaurants especially, is of course branding. You've built such a strong online brand. Why don't you talk to us about how you, how you've grown your online brand, even just from like starting your Instagram account to ending up on the Food
Yeah.
Network, and how that
Yeah.
all happened. And I think that's such a great opportunity to get your brand out, nationally.
For
So
sure.
why don't you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So, man, I'm trying to even think of what year Jenny with the Good Eats started. It was probably 2017. I actually started doing like a lot of guest like blogging and things like that, I would say, and recipes for other companies.
Oh, cool.
So it was nice because then I would get tie in back to my own brand and website and things like that. So I just kind of had that natural organic flow flowing back to me. And then I started doing just more like personal chef events, more community events, and trying to gain outreach that way. And then I had a partnership with Fox 17 for a while where we did cooking segments, and it was just fun
Yeah.
shooting the shit.
Why
So, and then through that, I was reached out to from Food Network, and they're like, hey, we've seen some of your stuff. We think it's cool that you do kind of like the food as medicine thing. You have like a very specific style. Would you be interested in auditioning for a competition? I was like, oh shit. All
I know.
right.
Were you nervous?
Let's get it.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. Well, because you second guess yourself too.
Oh
a
yeah,
lot
I'd be
because
so nervous.
yeah, I'm like, oh shit. Well, I've been a clinical dietitian for however many years, so I've been like out of the kitchen for a while, and then I went into like more so teaching. So I was teaching at GRCC's
But did you know
culinary
deep
program.
down, though,
Deep down, I was still worried.
when you saw the
I was still
people?
worried. I was like, oh shit.
You
no-
saw the-
When you saw the people.
There's no way.
Well, because so first you go through like Skype interviews, right? So you
Yeah.
have a couple different Skype interviews with producers, and they basically want to know like what you're about, how you react to stress, all that fun stuff, what pokes your buttons,
Uh-huh.
and they try to get like a good read on you. And then it's like, all right, we'll let you know. And then it just like goes quiet
Of
for like
course.
months.
Yeah.
And then they call you and they're like, these are the filming dates. We'll be in touch about flights. And you're
Oh
like,
my
oh,
gosh.
shit.
okay.
That's so exciting.
Yeah,
though.
so it's just like, it's crazy. You have to drop everything. And actually, when I went out to film, we were opening Root Farmacy to the
Oh,
public
wow.
in about 3 weeks. So I had to leave. I was just like, I have to up and go. I couldn't tell anybody where I was going, why I was going.
Oh, you couldn't tell them?
No, because I had a non-disclosure agreement. So I couldn't disclose any
Oh,
information. So
wow.
I was like, I'm going to LA for work. And they're like, in a pandemic? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So I had to lie to so many
Yeah.
people about it. And then obviously we filmed the show and I win. So then I just I can't say anything for months.
That must have
And
been so hard.
It was so hard. And then the show was supposed to come out in March, but they shut production down again in
Oh,
LA
wow.
because of COVID. So they fast tracked the season. And all of a sudden, it was literally a week out. They're like, hey, your show's coming out next week. And
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
holy shit. And I was going to be in Tucson. So I
Right.
wasn't even here.
Right.
So it was
what
just
has
the
it been-
craziest
what's
thing.
the aftermath been? It's been a couple weeks, a month.
Yeah, it's been, when did it air? It was January 19th.
Okay.
So we're almost
what
at
has
a month
that
out.
been like?
It was really crazy because obviously the show airs. I'm not even in Michigan, but everybody wants an interview. I have
Oh,
a
yeah.
2-hour time difference. So they're calling me like after the show ends when I'm in Arizona. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hey, can you Skype tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm like drunk off my ass at this point.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I'll get up and do the interview. So like I wake up at like 5 a.m.
Yes.
in Arizona
remember
time. And
that.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm so hungover.
That's
And now
the
I have to do like
worst.
Fox and ZZM. And like,
Like do all these interviews.
yeah.
That was
so,
like when I was on the Today Show before I ever did local news. So the
Yeah.
only reason they knew about me was because I was on the Today Show.
Yeah.
And I remember I had to do like that 5
And you're just
a.m.
like,
and meanwhile,
God.
it was before it was going on. So I was like, I can't focus on this right now. I'm
No.
trying not to puke.
I know. You're like, this sucks. Yeah. So it was
That's
super
cool,
crazy.
though.
And then I would say there was like a boom of just like, hey, can you do my my bachelorette party? Can you do my
Oh,
rehearsal?
of, like, cooking?
Yes. So I got a
Okay.
lot of like personal chef inquiries, and like I can take a couple right now, but with
busy.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's so busy. And I really like, I do a custom menu for each one. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so much work, and I want to use all my local partners. And
Right.
so it's a lot of
Right.
time on the back end, and then I have to go out to wherever they are and prep and cook that entire
It's a
day. And
lot.
it is, yeah.
So, future, are you gonna stay in the food business? Like, do you want to be a chef still? Like, what's your future in all
Can't
this?
you tell she's
Yeah,
a
for
little
sure.
passionate about it?
I know, yeah. Yeah, no, I always see myself being in food in some way, shape, or form. And at Root now, like I have the recipe development role, but I'm still in there, like I'm in the trenches with
You're always cooking when
meal
I'm
prep.
there.
Yeah, so I'm always there, still doing like the day to day, and that's where I like to be for sure. I also like teaching, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
I don't want to teach full time. I feel like I'm not like wise enough and
Yeah.
all that shit. Yeah, we'll get there someday. But yeah, I don't know. The food, I love the food.
For
Yeah.
part of it.
What about you?
Oh, and the food stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna probably quit soon. But
it's over it.
no, I'll always probably do something with food.
Yeah,
I'm just when I say over it, for me, my goals, food is such a passion.
yeah.
And you have
sure.
to do it for love and anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel capped in like
Yeah.
creativity wise for me because it's not just food for me.
Yep.
So personally, it's like, well, how long can I just like? I'm making decisions right now, like
Mm-hmm.
if I stay here 4 more years in food.
Yeah,
At that time, I'd be like 28 years old or whatever.
yeah.
Like, do I want
That's
to?
ancient, Vince.
I know. He's
Like-
28.
24.
No, but think about it. Like, if that's not what you want to do, you just
Yeah,
wasted 4
for sure.
years, you don't get that back.
No, you don't.
So it's like, and yeah, I'm young, but I feel like older, and I'm definitely like act older.
You've done a lot.
So for me, it's just like, well,
Mature.
in these next 4 years, I want to make sure that like I'm doing what I want to do, that can actually move the needle in my life,
Mm-hmm.
like for my goals, whatever.
Yeah, that's smart.
And like for me, it's like, who knows? I think food would always be there.
Wait,
Yeah.
I have a
Like,
little nugget
Food
of
is
wisdom for you.
food is
'Cause I-
so hard too. It's just,
Yeah, because I never
yeah.
not cook or never not
Right.
think about,
Right.
So it'll always be a piece. But when I
Mhm.
think about, do I want to be 33 in a restaurant? No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Personally, no. I'll be bald. Not a good look. You know what I'm saying?
So Vince, you
I
just
love
said
it.
that you want to. It's not moving the needle, right?
Yeah, it has to move the needle for you.
So
In some,
Yeah.
whether it's passion, love, money,
Mhm.
whatever it
I have a
is.
little passion to profit wisdom tip.
Ooh.
Ding. If you do what you love and what you're passionate about, it will move the needle.
100%.
So
Mhm,
when I
for sure.
started the Lemon Bowl in 2010, I didn't do it. I wasn't trying to move the needle. I wasn't trying to make money. I wasn't trying to earn a living. I was doing what I was really passionate about, so it didn't feel like work. So I kept doing it consistently
Mhm.
and authentically and passionately. So it sold itself. I didn't have to sell it. So it moved
Yeah.
the needle
Because
I
people
loved
catch
it.
on
Right.
and they
Mhm.
see that you're passionate about it, and then they want to invest in that. And
Yeah.
yeah.
People are
for
savvy and they are smart and they almost what happens is they match your energy about it.
Mhm.
So I feel like
I agree.
whatever you are
Yeah.
passionate about, if you lean into it, it will move the needle.
Mhm.
Yeah. And my word of advice is watch, if you're like me, you have a lot of passions, doesn't mean you
Yeah.
should go full-fledged in it. Because
For sure.
It could change your opinion on it. 'Cause when I was 7,
Oh, yeah.
when I opened at 18, 19, I
Yeah.
only wanted to cook.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to sit in the office.
Oh, nothing
Yeah,
kills a
and,
hobby
like-
like making it into a business.
Oh, I know.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
know. Yeah.
So, you go through your passion, and you're like, well, now it's not enjoyable anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was just like, oh shit, I'm not loving it.
Yeah, right.
Don't get me wrong, like I love having a restaurant. I just don't love having a
Yeah.
restaurant. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I think you changed so much too, like, because when I started as a clinical dietitian, I was like, oh, it's my first big girl job. I'm 22 years old.
Right.
And now I'm doing all these hard things, like having discussions about like end of life with somebody because their grandma needs like a feeding tube after a
Right.
stroke. I'm like, what? Like, this is really hard. Like,
Right.
I'm passionate towards science and like medicine, but I'm like, I
Didn't sign up for that part of it.
yeah, I was like, this is so hard. So
Yeah.
hard. So I think you just like, you continue to change too, especially in your 20s.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I
Like,
would
you
say
just like keep growing.
I didn't care about money as much when I was younger.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I like if you ask me, I'm like, yeah, I'll make money, but I only
You're
care.
trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to do what I want to do. It wasn't about making money. But now I'm like, nah, I'm a little fancy. So,
Yeah. You're like,
I'm like,
stocks,
yeah,
GameStop.
yeah. Shout out to GameStop.
Yeah.
F Robinhood, fuck Robinhood. But I came up a little bag. But like, yeah, like I'm just sitting, and it's not even for me now. It's just more about like, yo,
Yeah.
I see gaps in the food industry. And I think I can like expose those and like
For sure.
and build up upon them. And so like we'll see what I end up doing. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'll always be near a pot, near a knife. Like that'll never go away. That's just who I am.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've been thinking heavy after the pandemic about.
I
you
know
know.
the pandemic was so hard on food. It's
It was
it felt like a personal attack almost
know.
sometimes, or I was like, really gonna
That's
gonna
crazy.
take it
It
out
was
on
already
restaurants
such a-
again.
It was already
Yeah,
such a low margin industry.
I know, and that's
Oh,
the
I'm
thing.
not, I'm not even talking about wreck the money, right?
Yeah.
It's how the business operates. And
It's
like,
so
yeah.
yeah.
it's just like so many
it's
moving
exhausting.
pieces at all times.
It is, yeah.
And if one if one
Yeah.
thing goes bad,
if one walk-in goes bad,
like what? If you have one bad link, Rich can fix the link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. You lost $2,000 worth of salmon today.
Yeah.
for sure.
Done.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
$2,000 down the drain.
yeah. It's
You
crazy.
better hope today's busy.
I know exactly.
Oh, and then $2,000 to fix the thing.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Oh, and
I
you got
don't-
rent too.
yeah.
Oh, and,
and,
then you
and
haven't
all-
paid your suppliers yet.
and
It's
all
just
your
like,
staff
what?
that showed up today to cook.
Yeah. So then it's like
It's just like, yeah,
you gotta,
Especially in the pandemic.
to your point, you gotta love all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Like I love making a dish. I didn't love, you know what I'm saying? I'm good
Yeah.
at firefighting, but I didn't sign up
Hey,
for.
Vince.
for sure. For all
Vince,
those hard
maybe you
pieces,
should start
yeah.
a food blog.
Oh, you
I make,
should.
I make one serving.
I've been watching
take a
Vince's
photo of it.
TikToks too.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna do it on TikTok for sure.
Yeah.
Vince's
I was
TikTok's
like,
lit.
yeah, there's a TikTok future here.
Yeah. I think I figured it out. Like, yeah, a little formula. Maybe we'll see.
Aren't you further along? Like you have a staff handling. Like there's a difference between you're way more like directly hands-on with your business right now than you are, right? In terms of like
I would
staff.
say I'm pretty hands-on
I feel
still.
like you never get away from it.
Yeah, it's so hard to step away because I have one, my sous chef is phenomenal. Sandra, I love her to death. And then I have like two other cooks that come in and prep. But still, you're like, I need to oversee that. I need to make
yeah.
sure this is good. When we're super busy and we're turning that many meals, like when we do our 300 meal Mondays, we're on
like
7 different entrees, 24 different recipes.
Oh, yeah,
like
it's-
All hands
there's
on deck.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like there's so much shit. Like I'm there. We need to make sure we're 100. So
And when you're doing fresh,
Yeah.
different food,
Oh yeah.
You gotta make it.
Perishable.
It's-
yeah,
it's literally like-
it's from
like, you're not
scratch.
getting you're not getting
Yeah.
pre-cut lettuce.
No,
You know,
no.
like there
Yeah.
is to your point, there is systems. Like there's a lot of restaurants that it's literally whatever Cisco
yeah,
rolls out
for sure,
Yeah.
for
is
sure.
on their menu and
Yeah.
they upsell it. Like they don't do
Yeah.
anything. It's
Oh,
just
yeah, yeah.
drop it in the fryer,
Yep.
put the dressing on it, and it's done. And you guys
Yeah.
would be surprised of how
Oh,
many
I
restaurants
know.
that people
That
love
actually
and
do that.
actually
Probably
what it
your
is.
favorite apple crisp.
Probably.
Probably. Like
But he doesn't care.
yeah, I don't care. I know what it is
Yeah.
though, right?
And that's the thing too, where I think about it, I'm like, man, we do so like all our stocks are from scratch,
Yeah.
like all this stuff. We had
Yeah.
some bone broth that simmered way too long last night, came in, all the liquid was gone, cried a
Oh,
little bit.
no.
Like things like that where you're just like, damn, and you're like, are they gonna actually notice if we buy like pre-made?
Yeah.
But in your head you're like, I'll know.
Yeah.
And I'll be pissed about
Oh,
it. So I'm not
yeah.
gonna do that.
You can't cut
100%.
corners.
Yeah.
You know how many
I'm like, you
things
can't do that.
I
like
fix things on my website all the time, which is totally different. But I also am like, is anyone going to actually notice
Yeah.
this? But every day, those little things are why I have such a strong company
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, there are people that have blogs with like typos, the recipes don't work. It's like a Pinterest
sure.
fail. And I refuse to do that. And it's like those little things every day.
Yeah.
Even though no one mentioned it to me, maybe no one will notice it. You
Right.
notice it. So
Yeah.
it's like even getting your
It's like a
graphics
pride
right.
thing.
Yes.
It's like my culinary ego. I'm like, nope, we can't cut corners. We have to do that.
100%.
And like,
Well, how you do
even-
one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. And I'm
You
like,
show
I
your
want them
staff,
to
yeah.
learn too, and like to not buy all that
Integrity.
pre-made shit all the time. And yeah,
You
and
show
it's
your
like,
staff you that allows. What happens when
sure.
you're not there?
yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jenny did it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And that's the
Yeah.
bad culture because like you set it bad from the beginning.
exactly. Yeah, and I'm like, when I have to step away and do like a meeting or something, and are like, podcasts.
Right.
It's a podcast right now,
Right.
and Sandra's back there holding it down. But I'm like, I know she's
probably
doing
pouring out cans. Just
right. She's
kidding.
pouring out cans. No, like I know she's doing a great job,
Yeah.
and she's running it how the expectations are set, and
See, and that's all about creating a culture
for sure.
that shares your values. Which this year I took an entrepreneur management course, and one of the most simple things turned out to be the biggest thing was creating our values
Yes.
and writing out our cultural manifesto for the company.
Mm-hmm.
And now everyone, even we just brought on an intern, we go through that cultural manifesto for every level, and we think about it and talk about it every day. And it seems so silly because I remember
Yeah.
back working in Marriott, you have like the frame on the wall.
Oh
and it's
gosh,
like,
yeah.
like
Everybody
values and
signs
vision.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
And this course was such an aha because it said it doesn't matter what your values are if you don't hire to that. Your culture is what you have.
For
You can't
sure.
announce, "Hey, everybody, today our culture is this." It doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. You have to hire to it.
Exactly.
And we not only hire to it, but the biggest thing was we talk about it every day. Today, for example,
Mm-hmm.
one of our things is we don't put out fires. We don't work at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have stress. Like we don't put out fires. That's not, we're an online food blog. We don't have walk-ins that break. So
Yeah.
there's no reason for us to have a fire.
Yep.
I'm shooting content 2 weeks out. We work
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
we had something come up and I was like, no, we don't put out fires. No.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
great because it's like, we all know it. It's our North Star,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been so helpful. And I think you've done such a good job. You have this all-female organization.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's super upbeat and passionate. And for
Yeah.
example, you're not
You're
there
not a
right now.
menace.
Your
Yeah.
culture is still going on even when you're not there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're not there right now, and it's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not right now in a meeting. My team's happening. It's still that
Yeah,
mission's
exactly.
still happening without
and it's
me.
it's like whenever we bring somebody new on, I know culinary wise, like how you go interview for a culinary position
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, let's see your knife skills, blah blah blah. And I'm
right.
like, I don't care about that shit. I can teach you that.
100%.
I just want to know: are you going to show up? Are you going to have a good attitude? How
Yeah.
are you going
Every
to
day.
interact with
Every
everybody?
day.
Yeah,
That's the hard thing.
I'm just like, I can
Every
teach you
day.
the rest.
And you cannot teach someone to have a good attitude.
No, you cannot.
And you can't, like I always say, I can't vibrate for somebody else. And I'm always like,
Yeah.
I can't, I wish I could. If I
Yes.
could sell that online.
Yes, like.
But I can't.
Hey, the walk-in goes down this morning. I
Right.
said, Sandra, I'll be back with wine later. We'll fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's like the
that's all
best.
we can do.
That's all you can
That's
do.
what we can do.
I love that.
Crazy.
Honestly. All right.
So if you're listening to this, give more grace to your restaurants, please.
Yeah.
Please.
And where can we
They
all
work
find
hard.
you and where can they visit you and get your food?
Yeah, so I'm at Jenny with the Good Eats on Instagram, Facebook, jennywiththegoodeats.com. You can see what we're doing at Root Farmacy, just at Root Farmacy, rootfarmacycafe.com. We're in East Hills, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I recommend
Yeah.
the smoothies, guys. They're so
The
good.
Don't Miss a Beat smoothie.
So good. It's
yeah,
all
so
good.
pink. Beautiful.
It
I
is
like
beautiful.
I like your names for things too.
I know.
Sick.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
And
thank you
we
for having me.
Appreciate you and can't wait to visit you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Jazz. Ooh, I even got your girl some jazz yesterday. Choo, 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 choo.